So now we're going to go ahead and we're going to draw quadrilaterals using only one circle instead of two, like we did with the last section. So again, I crossed off the stuff that obviously we can't follow because we don't have patty paper, but you still be able to construct a quadrilateral using these steps here. So let's go ahead and do this construction. Alright, now we're going to go ahead and draw a quadrilateral QSRT by following these steps. So first we're going to construct a perpendicular bisector to go through QR. So QR. Remember, perpendicular bisector means that you're creating a line that's going to create right angles and it's going to bisect our QR. So start off again with your compass. Make it bigger than the radius. Okay, it's just slightly bigger, doesn't have to be extreme. I'm going to go ahead and use this size here. So I'm going to put my sharp end on, what is that, R? So I'm going to go ahead and place it right here. And I'm going to do an arc, so just the same way we've been doing the other ways, or the other constructions for perpendicular bisector. It's the same thing. Now I'm going to go ahead and place that sharp end on the Q and do the arcs again. And then we're going to go ahead and connect them. I want us to go ahead and draw a diameter ST of the circle in such a way that it is not perpendicular or coincident to QR. So just like earlier, you're going to go ahead and draw it that it's not, so this is perpendicular. Anything else, anything that is not that, so as long as you can go this way, you can go the other way, it doesn't matter. So I decided to go the same direction as last time. So notice how this is not perpendicular or coincident to QR, meaning it's not on top of QR and it's not perpendicular to QR. Now you're going to go ahead and connect your endpoints and draw the diameters. Here you have the construction that we were trying to make. So once you have your construction, it should look something like this. Again, if it's going the opposite direction, so if this, instead of going to the right, it looks like it's going to the left, that's fine. But they're asking us, what do we notice about Q, R, and ST? You should be using what we've learned in the past one so that we can be able to, Q, R, and ST. So again, everybody should know right now what they're called. These are called diagonals, alright? Now, we know that they intersect each other. We also know that they bisect each other. Bisecting means that you're cutting them both exactly in half. The reason I know that they bisect each other is because from P to T, remember, from the center to the outer part, we call that a radius, so the radii of the circle. P to R, that is also the radius. P to S and P to Q, these are all the same radius of the same circle, the same size radius, which is how I know that when they intersected, they bisected because PT is congruent to PS, and then PR is congruent to PQ. And in fact, all of these ended up being congruent to each other. Okay, so we know that they bisect each other, they intersect, they form congruent sides, and they're also congruent diagonals, because this diagonal is the diameter, the whole thing, S to T, that is the diameter of the big circle, and Q to R is also the diameter of the big circle that we're dealing with. Okay, so we know that they are diagonals are of the quadrilateral. They are not they're also not perpendicular. I keep forgetting that one, because when we were told to make this construction S to T, they told us it could not be perpendicular to QR. Okay, this line is perpendicular, meaning that we have a right angle here, but these two here, these do not form this line here, this diagonal and this diagonal, they are not forming right angles. Okay, so that's not what we have there. So I've said the rest of these here, so make sure we write these down. Alright, you're going to go ahead and take a ruler and you're going to measure the lengths of yours of the quadrilateral, and you're going to tell me what do you notice on this one as well. Okay, so what do you notice is going on with the lengths of the sides of each of them? Next, you're going to use a protractor to determine the measures of each interior angle of this quadrilateral. So I want you guys to take that protractor and tell me how much is that angle, this angle, this angle, and this one. And then you're going to tell me which conjecture that you made in the previous lesson does this measurement support. They're talking about these angles here. What conjecture did we say about these angles that is now being supported here? I'm going to give you a hint. So your hint is that think back to the diameter and think back to inscribed angles. So think back to those things. so that it'll give you a hint as to what I'm referring to. Now we're going to go ahead and give the names to describe this quadrilateral that we have QSRT and explain our reasoning. I'm going to go ahead and help you out with this one. So we can call it a rectangle. You can call it a parallelogram because opposite sides are parallel. We can also call this a trapezoid. The quadrilateral has opposite sides that are congruent and equal angle measures. So this is why we can call this quadrilateral all of these names. Now for this one here, I want you guys to go ahead and do this construction. Now you don't have a circle on your notes. You guys are going to have to draw a circle of any size. So I'm going to start off with just a line. If you notice, I just have a line drawn there. And then I'm going to go ahead and open up my compass. And I'm going to choose to put the point somewhere in the middle so I can use that as my reference point. Notice how my compass is about the size as at least one of the segments here. I'm going to go ahead and put that sharp point of my compass on top of the point that I'm using. And I'm just going to draw a circle. I'm going to go ahead and use this circle and do the construction that was shown to you here. Okay, you're not going to be using the patty paper, so just ignore the part that tells you. So just this part. But you will be using, or you will be drawing the diameter VW with the circle. Alright, now that you've finished your construction, we're going to go ahead and take a look at this trapezoid that we have here. We call this an isosceles trapezoid, okay, because we have at least two sides that are congruent. And we also know that at least one pair of sides is parallel for this one. So PZ is parallel to TD because they're never going to intersect. However, PT and ZD are not parallel because eventually they will touch. But we know that they're telling us that PT and ZD are congruent, and this is an isosceles trapezoid triangle. Isosceles meaning at least two sides are the same. So we're not going to use a patty paper to trace this, but I want you to go ahead and draw the diagonals for this part. So go ahead and draw your diagonals. Remember, opposite angles, non-adjacent angles. Once you have your diagonals, hopefully they look like this. You're going to go ahead and take a ruler and measure your diagonal from TZ and PD, and you're going to tell me what you notice from there. Then you're going to go ahead and answer when you measure them, so make sure you measure them. Now you're going to go ahead and answer this question: do these diagonals bisect each other? Remember, bisecting means that TZ, so this diagonal here, meaning that this diagonal got cut exactly in half, and that PD also got cut exactly in half by TZ, so that they're each cutting each other when they're intersecting, that they're bisecting. So you're going to go ahead and tell me, did they bisect each other? Did they cut each other in half? Or if they only intersected or not, or did not bisect. And I need you to explain to me how you determined your answer. Then you're going to go ahead and make sure you take that protractor and determine the measurements of each interior angle. The interior angles are the ones that are on the inside. So you're going to give me this angle, this one, and this one. And you're going to tell me what do you notice. So make sure that for this video, you should be done from pages 28 to page 30. Again, I'm reminding you that if I notice we are not having these done in class as I am asking questions because I'm doing these videos for you, then I am going to assume that now I have to be assigning things daily, and you will start submitting these notes to me every single day on Google Classroom. So please make sure that you are keeping up with these videos.